Yeah. And what is it that makes that global expansion a little bit easier? I was going to say so easy, but it's probably not easy.
No.
But what
No,
helps?
it never gets easy. Just the problems, change. But
Or
They have
you
new
get-
markets, new problems, right?
Yeah. Or you get better
Yeah.
at solving them because you've almost seen it before in a different place. Or
yeah, but as you grow, there's gonna be new problems that you're solving, right? So it's like never really gets easy. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
in certain types of businesses, like if you can build a monopoly and you're like so strong and good, that things might get a little bit easier. But
Yeah.
I think in some ways things are maybe a bit easier is that, we now as a bigger company, we can afford to hire a C-suite.
Yes.
So we can have a strategic CFO. We can afford to have a chief marketing officer, chief operations officer, right? Like we can bring on experts that it doesn't necessarily lighten the load, although it does a little bit, at least from my partner, Sky, the CEO. But the problem is you're under pressure, right? Even
Yes.
from early investors who are, 8 years in wanting to get some liquidity, right? Like people want to see a pathway to a return on their investment.
Yes.
And the challenge with my business is that a lot of the successful examples of companies that do what Pure Harvest does, these are businesses that have grown over generations organically. A lot of them are family-owned growers in the Netherlands or Spain or the US.
Right.
And they started maybe 30, 40 years ago, maybe even longer. And, they built one greenhouse and then they built a second one, took some debt, paid it back after 10, 15, 20 years,
Yeah.
built another one. So, we've only been around for 8 years.
You have to compress all of that.
You got to compress, what others are doing in, 30, 40 years,
Yes.
within 10 years.
Mm.
So, and that is where you can make a lot of mistakes. You can try to cut
Yes.
corners operationally. And that's where a lot of, our competitors, vertical farming companies and even venture capital backed greenhouse companies have failed.
Right.
Is that, there was this mindset of grow at all cost.
Yes.
And there was a lot of just money being spent all over the place on stuff that maybe shouldn't have been spent.
Mm.
And
Yeah,
those
as you
companies are not around anymore.
said, you have to give companies that sweet time to mature. And as the saying goes, you can't pull the grass to make it grow faster. So in
Yeah,
line
that's a
with
good one.
Harvest. So probably taking some more points as a little bit on the co-founder and the founder partnership dynamics. It's always good to have co-founders which challenge each other, complement each other. But when you mentioned about C-suite, because there is a certain stage when the startup is scaling, the original founders can't do everything. So when is the right time to probably delegate work? Because it starts as your own baby. So you're very, I would say, possessive about giving, let's say, access to somebody else. So how does that transition work from your journey at Pure Harvest?
I think the best entrepreneurs would be the ones that look at business in an ego-free way.
Okay.
That they're very practical in terms of their experience and their capabilities. And if the business reaches a stage where it requires, we often say, adult supervision, right?
Yes.
But there's examples of founders that have, sometimes, of course, like you could have some VCs, especially if they control the board, they might, force you to hire like
Yes, sometimes.
a professional CEO, right? At some point, right? If you're growing quite a bit, right?
Right.
But I would say that, in startups, it's all about, my philosophy is about growing the pie, right? And even if you're owning a smaller sliver of the pie, or you have to potentially like give up control to
Yes.
someone that maybe is like stronger at leading the business or has certain, experience or connections, right? That could, value, could basically help drive the business forward and create value for everyone. You
Right.
should be ready to do that. I know that it's your baby, but the baby, grows up and isn't a baby anymore at some point.
Yes,
It
it's got its
becomes
own
a
legs,
teenager and goes to college.
Yeah.
So So yeah, it's a tough process, but I think that you gotta try to be impartial and objective, and think about what is really gonna help de-risk the business and increase the probability of a positive outcome
Right.
for everyone, and not just thinking about yourself.
For sure.
So
Being so like involved in tech, I just want to ask, generally speaking, where do you think AI is going to sort of affect the most?
Okay. Well, so I'm not doing much at the moment actually with AI, so I probably wouldn't be the best person to kind of comment on that.
Yeah.
I guess just someone who's a user, right? You just see all of the powerful applications of how it's improving your productivity, right,
Yes.
on a day-to-day life, right?
Yeah.
And I'd say a lot of the tools are still, quite fragmented. I mean, I'm using various different tools for various different things, and so there could probably be some consolidation at some point,
Yeah.
whether it's OpenAI, or others. But I think it's exciting. I think it's gonna. I'm not worried about. A lot of people worry about like humans losing jobs. I mean, I just don't think that it. I think that it's gonna multiply the power of a human.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's going to, create massive breakthroughs and, scientifically and technologically. So I don't think we have to worry about AI, replacing humans. I think it's just going to allow us, to be, so much more productive. But I guess and I'm not a technical expert on this. I'll let, Elon Musk and others that talk about the ethics and control of AI. But I guess there are risks of an AI becoming rogue or autonomous, and resisting human control or getting outside of control somehow. I suppose it could be. I mean, even when you interact with an AI right now, I mean, it's so human and lifelike already. And look at what's happened in just 3 years.
Yes.
I mean, if the advances continue, I mean, 10, 15, 20 years from now, it'll be unrecognizable, what AI will be.
Absolutely.
So, and AI is just getting,
It's fascinating, yeah.
it's just getting so much better because, the AI tools themselves are improving the AI. It's it's just compounding
Learning.
exponentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I think it's exciting. I think it's really a new age. I do think it is going to be just as important of a breakthrough as the internet.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
We're
it feels
seeing
like
that.
it. Although it's more gradual, right? Internet was kind of like, yep, we made this, and now.
Yeah,
Obviously,
well, internet was
adaptation.
also gradual. Though,
Yeah,
if
people
you think about it, when it was
started to adapt. Yeah.
it was originally invented, in the 80s, right? And then it took time, right? I
Yes.
mean, you had the .com, the .com bubble, where you had all of these products and online, web services that raised also a lot of money, and I think we very much might go through another .com type
Yes.
bubble. I think
Yes.
with AI, where then hopefully not a lot of individuals will lose money, but certainly people will lose money. But then there will be a return to basically focusing on practical improvement.
For sure.
But I think that there is definitely a lot of irrational exuberance, which is typical in a bubble. But still exciting.
It's exciting
Yeah,
indeed.
yeah, definitely.
Just hate to be a killjoy. I believe the operator had said he has a hard stop, so we can probably just take one final question.
Yeah, sure.
2 minutes.
Okay,
now.
yeah,
So-
sure.
So do we want to talk about ocean harvest, if that's fine? Or do you want to probably...
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean, I think
yeah,
it's
fine,
opening
right?
up another can of worms. I think
Okay,
it's
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, I have a stupid question,
Yeah.
but
It's good
if you've
content.
got something
No,
better.
it's good content then.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask,
Yeah.
if for whatever weird magic reason, you sort of weren't working on everything that we're working on right now, and you wanted to start a new business, what might you do, and how might you go about doing that?
Look, there's a lot of different, actually, AI ideas that I've been thinking about. Tools, because I have a lot of friends that are VCs, and I've been talking to them. Look, what kind of tools are you using right now, to screen deals,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of it is still very manual, and or very fragmented. They'll use Affinity maybe as a CRM, or they'll use maybe like some of them are trying to create their own in-house like tool, right? But there really isn't some kind of a co-pilot, right? Say for VCs or private investors like angels or even private equity funds that can reason, right, and help you maybe capture early signals in a deal that makes it promising potentially, right? So I think there could be some interesting tools to build around that, but it's just maybe something that I'm still, to the point that I mentioned earlier, engaging with the customer to really validate, if there's a big enough, problem there.
Yes. Maybe they like doing it manually.
Yeah, or it's also like privacy, right? They don't want, obviously their data, going to another tech company, so you have to sandbox anything that you offer them.
Makes sense.
So there's like a lot of issues there, but I'm, definitely not the only one, with this idea. I mean, I know even
but again,
a bunch
as you
of
said,
friends.
the secret is the execution.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the previous experiences gives you the head start before the other ones who are going to learn their
We'll see.
works.
Yeah.